You're listening to the NeuroSpice Life podcast.
And I'm Hanna, sexologist, sensologist, lovable weirdo, oversharer, and not sorry about it.
And I'm Freya, alexithymic counsellor, mum, chaos wrangler, and happy little steamroller.
Whether you're neurotypical or neurodiverse, our podcast is for everybody and every brain that has ever been labelled. Welcome back to the weird episode of The Spicy Life, where we're having a look at reframing weird and the unjust labels that were given to us over time.
I'm Freya.
I'm Hanna.
I nearly forgot my own name, which is a really good start to the session. Nothing weird about that.
Well, I mean, you say that, but I'm literally in a T-shirt saying it's a spice jar, and it says weird and wonderful on the label. Along with a pin that also says weird and wonderful, and along with my earrings that are half woman, half mushroom.
Because why not?
Reasons.
Why not?
Because I liked it.
I'm glad you liked the T-shirt. We sort of, starting out this, it was like, oh, we've got boring admin stuff to do, or we can make fun T-shirts for ourselves and mugs. And we did that. But yeah, we were very like, yes, I want a weird and wonderful one. I want to be weird and wonderful.
Absolutely.
So good. Well, you are weird and wonderful, so it's nice. You've now got an official T-shirt, and we'll
I am wearing the merchandise.
So you can see what it looks like for yourselves.
I mean, the weird, again, looking at reframing, and I even find that when something comes up and I go, oh, that's weird, and it's just this little, and then I giggle. And there was something I was reading the other day where it was talking about, part of it was synesthesia, where it's two senses in the brain that cross over. So, for example, you could see numbers or music as colour, which I just think is such an amazing superpower. And then I was reading a post online the other day about somebody who was listening to music and they were able to taste music.
Yeah.
And they were saying that John Denver's apparently tastes like chicken noodle soup.
Okay.
And later on, they said that Lady Gaga tastes like grape juice.
Sure.
Yeah, not barbecue sauce, given the meat dress.
Yeah.
But, and I thought that was such an amazing thing to have. And so they were saying, well, I've been called weird for that. So here I am talking about it because I want to know if other people have similar experiences. Yeah. And I really feel that weird is the word that we use to recognize what we don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a beautiful opportunity to try.
Yeah, I love that reframe of it. And I like it's interesting as you say that too, because it links so beautifully back to the definition of what weird is. And again, like me, facts, data, numbers, measures, all of that sort of stuff is my happy place. And but like,
I feel like Data was your favorite character on Star Trek.
He's the android, for the record. And if we've heard the episode with me talking about my lack of feelings and emotions, it's probably no wonder why that would be. But yeah, the definition of weird is suggesting something is supernatural or unearthly. And so the example that it's actually given is like the weird inhuman sounds. And I think that's like a really nice, something we don't understand. That's what weird is. But I think that's also why it can be so threatening and so scary to us, right? Because to be seen as not human, to be seen as other, to be seen as not part of the tribe, part of the village, part of this social group, right? That it comes back to, again, that isolation is death. And I think that that's why it can be such a hurtful thing to be labelled.
Because you're not part of my tribe.
Yeah.
I don't accept you.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
You're not part of my group, right? You're on the outer looking in. And
it's so funny because when you look at this, and you touched on it before, this idea that, oh, well, neurodiversity has become a trend. People want to be trendy, so they're identifying as neurodiverse.
Yeah.
We didn't have this in my day. And there's just this moment, there's like, it's like the Nelson from The Simpsons in my head of, ha! Because there were so many oddities that were once accepted. You'd go to somebody's house and it would be somebody's relative. No, you can't use that spoon. That's their spoon.
Yeah.
That's their special spoon.
That's their place at the table. That's their mug. That's their chair. Yeah.
Here is all the china that they have in this you know,
that collecting the china sets.
Yeah, they might collect the china
my
sets.
People.
Might be like all the royals or something along those
Stamp
lines.
collecting,
but you
coins.
Can't touch those things
Yeah.
because they will have a meltdown.
Yeah.
Here's my neighbor with the basement full of trains who wears the same thing every day. Not that it's the same top, but it's the same top that they've bought 4 or 5 of.
Feels so seen, right? So for the record, it's like it is actually one of my go-to strategies to like manage my life.
Oh, it's a fantastic strategy.
I know,
I've adopted
it's so funny. And it's like, but again, a lot of neurodivergent people, like, or suspected neurodivergent people like Steve Jobs wear the same thing every single day. But like, you know, it's like, it's comfy. It doesn't itch me. It's like, I don't need to make that decision in the morning.
Of some of these great decisions.
Yes,
it's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's been amazing. But yeah, no, but like classic examples, right? Of like, you know, that's not weird. That's common sense to me.
Well, I think you had the dresses. You had the 4 dresses that you gave me, which I still have and I still wear and I still get compliments on, and it's great.
Well, and to be fair, it's the exact same dress and the exact same blazer in 4 different colours. And the only reason I went with 4 different colours was because it would be like seen to be weird to turn up in the office and literally in the same colour every day.
Yeah.
So I would have a different colour and people would say like your days of the week dressing. And I'm like, yes, actually, yes, it is.
But you mixed and matched the colours of the blazers.
No, never.
Didn't you?
No, God, that's sacrilege. Don't do that.
I swear to God.
The watermelon pink goes with the watermelon pink. The green goes with the green. The blue goes with the blue. And then the other pink goes with the other pink. They're distinct days of the week. So Monday was the bright pink. Tuesday was the blue. Wednesday was the watermelon pink. Thursday was the green.
Okay, because I mixed mine up.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I'm never giving you anything again.
I ruined it. But it took people about 8 months to realize that that's what I was doing.
Yeah, you were like, yeah, it's actually the same 4 pieces of clothes used together. No, I would literally wear the same ones on the same day of the week. Yeah. And again, time dysphoria. It was actually a really helpful strategy. If I wasn't sure what day it is, I just looked down at what colour I was wearing. And that was super helpful. And other people did also comment that it was helpful for them too.
Oh, that's nice.
Which is good. Like, I'm a giver. And it was also this concept called dopamine dressing as well, where it's actually wearing the bright colours actually gives you happy chemicals for your brain.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it was quite well thought out and quite well planned.
I come from Melbourne, so I have a wardrobe of black.
Yes. Which, yes.
When I wear these things and people are like, oh, you must really like wearing colour. I'm like, Sure. It was clean.
It was clean. It was there. It was on the floor. But yeah, so as you say that, but like these differences, and again, there was more space and I think accommodation, you know, for it before.
Oh, yeah. But yeah. And that's the thing, is that when it's accepted in one person, rather than being accepted as a whole category of people, for some reason that makes it easier to be accepting of that behavior.
Yeah.
And so rather than being able to sort of take a step up and look at it, you know, from a higher perspective and looking down and kind of being able to put all the pieces together like a big jigsaw puzzle, it's much easier to isolate it to, oh, that's just that person.
That's that one person.
That's that one person, rather than seeing it as a collective group. Because as we know over time, and we've talked about this in the labels episode, is that the science behind the way that we recognize the differences in ourselves is
changing constantly.
Constantly changing, but also far behind the times of what we intrinsically know in our own bodies
to be true. Yeah.
And so when I think about things like, and you touched on it just before, and before we went on break, what is normal?
Yeah.
Like, actually think about what it is and how it applies to you, because there's so many times where I have adopted something and I've done it with confidence and I've done it within the acceptable boundaries of society. For example,
you're not breaking a law there.
I'm not breaking laws, but I'm doing something that might be a little bit out of character for myself. But if you do something with enough confidence, most people will actually go, oh, that's just them.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a part of you. And I've actually noticed, and it's quite an interesting, if you're interested in doing psychological, sociological experiments, not advocating for that, but I find it fascinating that you start with something small.
Mm-hmm.
So it could just be that you might wear, you know, a colourful pair of earrings or a colourful pair of shoes.
Or a day of the week dress.
And then over time, you slowly build upon that.
Mm.
And so I actually find that it increases people's level of acceptance over where you want to get to. So it does take time.
Yeah.
It takes a bit of patience as well, because it's like going one day and going, I eat all the red meat and I am a complete carnivore, to all of a sudden changing the next day and being, I'm a vegetarian. For most people,
I've done that too.
It's quite It's quite abrasive. It's quite shocking. I did it when I stopped drinking for those 7 months. And so for a period of time, people just were like,
but that's what do you do? Yeah.
But what do you mean?
Yeah.
And because it was such a sudden change.
Yeah.
So
easing them into it
until it becomes accepted. And then you just knock it up to the next level.
Yeah.
So, if your weird is that, you want to wear, there's this guy over, I think he's in England, where he wears a skirt and heels to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's his thing. Like, and he's on all the social medias and he gets a huge amount of love. He also gets a huge amount of hate.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's gotten to a point now where, because of the popularity, he's normalized it for him.
Yeah.
And you think about all the times where you might go to somebody's house when you were growing up and they would do something differently and you go, oh, that's really weird. And I find that it's, calling one person's weird, like just saying like one person's weird is another person's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to get printed on a T-shirt
as well. So many T-shirts, all the T-shirts.
And it's so true because it's normal to me.
Yes.
It's normal to my family.
Yes.
And so I find that the more you can push your bubble to understand that just because you do something one way doesn't mean that that's the air quote normal way. That's just your normal.
Yes. And I think that's so important. And when we look at the diagnosis process too, and this idea of what's normal, and again, that's where we're set up to fail in a lot of senses. We go through that process, right? Is it's built on the medical model of medicine, the disability and stuff as well, right? Where there's a normal, and to be qualified as having this condition or this disorder or this neurotype, right? And using that very pathologizing language in there, right? Is you have to show deviations from the normal. And so you need to show that you're deficit in certain ways from this idea of what normal is. But I think, again, the more we do this and the more we go down through this path, particularly neurodiversity, but other things as well, like, the cultural norms as they are today are very different to what they were 20 years ago. The gender norms, all of these other things. Society is constantly changing, it's constantly evolving, and everything's moving and changing all the time. So the idea of what's normal today is going to be very different to what our kids see as normal. And I love the idea of my daughter growing up and looking at some of the stuff we're doing today and being like, Mum, you did what? Like we were like looking at our parents' generation where you could smoke or drink when pregnant and there were no seatbelts in the cars and all this kind of stuff.
The lead paint.
The lead paint everywhere, all of that kind of stuff, all of these different examples that, this next generation is going to look at us and be like,
what were you thinking?
What were you thinking, right? And that's, again, it's normal to evolve and it's normal to change. So it's how can you find out what's normal for you? What's your Tuesday? I love that idea. Like, what's your Tuesday? And it might be weird for someone else, but is it just weird because they haven't tried it?
And it doesn't mean that you have to change because somebody else has just gone, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's not how I do it.
Yeah.
And that level of, conformity, it's also about being able to stick to it and say, yeah, this is how I do it.
Yeah. Unapologetically. This is how I do it.
Yeah.
Like, this is my order. This is my way.
And there's another kind of phrase that has come up recently, and it's, calling something weird is really just announcing the edges of your own bubble.
Yes.
And it's so important to have a big bubble, I think, because the more you can expose yourself to in terms of experiences, in terms of how other people live, how, there's no such one thing as normal.
Yeah.
There is there could be the baseline in your world. But the more you expand, the more you expand, the more you expand, the more you can actually be more accepting and understand that people don't have to live the way you live.
What?
In order to accept them.
They can put different coloured jackets and skirts, dresses together. No.
Yeah, I can break the rules.
Break the rules. But it's such a true point, right?
Like,
we don't all have the same worldview. We don't all have the same experiences. We don't all come from the same background. And I love that idea of, making your bubble bigger. And I think as well, there's a lot of power as well in understanding where the edges of your bubble are. So if something comes up and it's a little bit uncomfortable for you,
that's a great place to explore.
That's a great place to lean into that. And I think me earlier a lot, I used to be like, whoa, Nelly, push it away. I don't understand it. And now I'm like, tell me more, help me understand, I want to understand what this is for you. And I know we've had these conversations, like you, a huge fan of Burning Man over in the US and going to festivals and that sort of thing. And for me, that is my idea of hell. Like absolutely, like crowds and thousands of people, and like the level of organization and stuff that needs to go into that, and so much different things, and constant interactions, and being in a strange environment and all that sort of stuff. But like and you've been very generous. You're like, come with me and I'll take you. And I'm like, no, hard pass, hard pass. But like, it's all because that's not fun to me. And that's not my idea of a good time.
Yeah, you're not going to shit all over my idea
exactly
just because you don't like it.
Yeah, there's this really great phrase, and I use this a lot with my daughter as well. But like trying new foods and stuff, and saying, "Please don't yuck my yum."
Yeah.
Sorry, don't yuck my yum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, all because it may not be appealing to you doesn't mean that it's not appealing to somebody else,
Absolutely.
and that it's okay to have different yums and different yucks.
Absolutely. And speaking of Burning Man and weird, there's
it's going to be good.
I mean, there is so much misconceptions about the actual event itself, and calling it a festival too is also considered sacrilege.
Oh, is it? Well, other festivals like you do, Rainbow Serpents and all of that sort of stuff. Is it Rainbow Serpent?
Yeah,
I've got the animals right. Excellent.
It's not Rainbow Frog. I would go to that too if there was one.
Yeah.
And Burning Man has been. It was actually. Burning Seed was the first one in New South Wales that really got me into realizing that there are so many people out there that will, like, radical self-acceptance, radical acceptance in general is one of the principles of the Burning Man community. Radical self-reliance.
I love that part.
Yeah.
The radical self-reliance.
No sparkle ponies here.
Love that. Love that. Yeah.
Radical acceptance as well. And also radical self-expression. And those three things there, putting aside, the decommodification and the gifting principles and, and the leave no trace, the radical acceptance and also the radical self-expression are so beautiful and intrinsic components of being out there.
Yeah.
That I've often told people, and this is where this level of disbelief often comes in, is that I've told people that you could literally walk down one of the streets wearing a potato sack and a kilt.
Yep.
And you will get high-fived.
Yep.
Because people think that is just absolutely hilarious and fantastic and well done.
And you're you being you.
And you're just you being you. And so what's interesting is you can tell, and just through interactions or through somebody's energy, you can often tell whether somebody's being their authentic selves or whether they're there to kind of seek validation. But regardless of whichever it is, you are loved, you are accepted, and you are welcome. And I often think that, I'm often told, I should say, that that can't exist externally. It's called the default world.
Yeah.
So I've been told, well, that can't exist everywhere else. But why not? Because there is a mentality that has to exist in this space. And even if it's just for a week, even if it's just for a small period of time, and I walk out of there, I have a smile on my face for weeks.
That's a beautiful thing.
I'm so elated, and I feel so blessed to be a part of such a wonderful community. And I've found, it's like my second or third family over there. I've got friends over there that they're as close to me as like blood, essentially. And they're such beautiful humans. And so you meet the best people and sometimes the worst people, but it's all just a part of being there, and it's all just people being themselves. And and I have so many crazy stories. But in coming over here to record this podcast, one of the things that I was doing was I had to bring my very large orange suitcase. And when I was tipping it all out, it's my costume suitcase, and I came across a red crocheted bikini that I had been gifted. And I was coming out of the porta potties, and I was wearing a one piece. And so I was basically, those things feel like ovens inside. Because it's so hot during the day. And I walked outside, and, I was pulling up the front bit, and this topless grandma came riding up to me on a bicycle. And she was so happy that, I too, at that point in time, was topless. Yeah. And so she then gifted me this red crocheted bikini
top that she didn't need.
No, full bikini.
Oh, full bikini
that she had made.
I love it.
And then insisted on telling me about, she actually not just crochets blankets and toys for her family. She also crochets rugs for homeless people. She's from San Francisco. And so she had been going around giving all the topless people bikinis as a gift because she loves the fact that she hits playa, which is this dried out, lake bed. Yeah. And so the playa dust is the dust that kicks up. And she will gift these amazing things that she's made to other people that she sees just as brave as she is.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool. And looking at you from the outside in too, right? So my observations of you too, it's been a really big part, I think, in your weirdness journey of having those experiences and going over there for you to really embrace who you are. And, and this is something, again, with clients that we go through post-diagnosis and unmasking and that process and finding places, but it's like peeling back layers of an onion, right? And the more you go and the further you go, you just keep going, and there's there just seems to be the never ending onion. It's like another layer and it's another layer. And just when you think you've sort of sensed more of who you are and understanding it and doing that, the deeper you go, but also as well, the lighter you feel. I know that seems like a really weird, the deeper, the lighter, but it's so true. The more you can be your authentic self and honor who you are and do that and feel comfortable doing that, it's just, your nervous system feels better. You feel more regulated. You sleep better. You feel more content.
Well, you're not carrying the weight of other people's expectations of how you should behave and who you should be.
Yes.
And I can tell you that, and that the weight of expectations that other people put on you, and again, it might start small. It might be a reasonable thing, but every next thing is a reasonable thing. Yeah. And over time, all those little things amount to a lot of things, and you end up quite weighed down by this level of, it's almost like you're bent over half the time trying to carry all of these expectations on your back. And the first time you let one slide, there might be a mixed reaction. When you start to let more than just one slide, it's a couple, it's a topple, until you can stand up straight, hold your shoulders back, and proudly proclaim, I am.
Yeah.
Then, it does feel heavy, and it feels like it literally is bending you or breaking you in half.
And that's, I think, a really important thing too, right? Is that weight comes on pebble by pebble. It comes on bit by bit, right?
That's why they call it the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Exactly. And it's like this slow and gradual process to build it up over a period of years, or build up the armor, build up the mask, right? Build up the layers of expectation. And often we get quite impatient. We get our diagnosis and we suddenly want to unmask overnight.
Yeah.
And it's actually, you know what, it takes a long time. I'm free. But it takes a really long time and a bit of patience to do that process and to take off those pebbles, one at a time, so that we still feel safe to do it. Because often what happens too, right, is we let out a bit of the weird, right? We show a bit of the weird, and if we don't get the response that we're hoping for, accepting, of, and often you don't, the amount of times I've just been singing out loud in a supermarket, and some people will go, you've got a lovely voice, and keep doing that, and other people will slowly back their children away from me, right? P.S. I haven't stopped singing in supermarkets. I love doing that. But if you don't get that response, then it's very easy to default and put the mask back up, because masking comes from a place of safety, right? Yeah. It's like putting on armor. Yeah. And it's about hiding the parts of you. It's a defensive thing.
It's about making other people feel comfortable.
Exactly. And we do it as a default. We do it as a protective mechanism. We do it from a place of fear. And so to take that down, if we then feel threatened or challenged, the default natural thing to do, it's like touching a live wire, is to take your hand away, right? Is to put the mask back up. And so it's important to do it slowly. It's important to do it safely, in little steps and situations. And it may not be with everyone. It might be just one safe place. Yeah. One safe person. It might be you at home on a Tuesday night with your four-legged furry companion. But what are those opportunities that you can let those parts of you out and experiment and try and be curious and have fun?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of opportunities out there, trust me. The thing that I think that just brought up for me as well is this: when you're a part of group where you look to that one person for what's okay, and when that person has that level of power and control over your behavior, and it's almost this kind of weird self-policing kind of thing. But it's when somebody might, say, for example, be a bit of a narcissist, and they have a group around them that they've sort of co-opted to be the
yes people,
the sycophants, I think the internet has also coined the term the flying monkeys.
Okay.
Wizard
the
of
wicked,
Oz.
wizard, yeah.
And there's no kind of safe way initially, unless you're willing to not be part of the cool group anymore. I think it's also just about accepting that you don't have to be a part of the in crowd.
Yeah.
And so I love the idea, like taking off a little bit at home, and it might just be about doing it at home, doing it where it's safe, and then realizing whether or not this is part of a collective that you want to be associated with, whether you're in the collective or whether, you want to be a part of the collective.
Yeah.
Being a part of the in crowd, I can categorically say, is overrated.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if I need to change who I am to be a part of it, it's not a part of a group that I want to be in.
Yeah. I think it's a really good call. And when we're parents as well, raising neurodivergent kids, or we're in the process of unmasking ourselves, it's a great process to actually ask the question, whose expectation is this? Whose normal is this?
Yeah.
So like, sometimes I might talk to, to parents, and they're worried because they're like, oh, my neurodivergent child has only got, 2 or 3 really close friends. They need more friends.
Why?
Do they? Where's this expectation coming from? And it comes from the neurotypical norm.
I fear my child is not going to have enough people around them.
Yeah, and the neurotypical norm that more friends is better.
Yeah.
And that, 10, 20, like multiple social relationships, as opposed to actually maybe maintaining those social relationships is actually outside, like that's actually more draining on me. And I only need 2 or 3 really, really great people around me. And it doesn't mean I don't like people. Doesn't mean I don't crave social connection.
I forget people
but I don't
exist.
need lots of it. Oh yeah, when they're in a drawer. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're somebody that I speak to, like, do not be offended if I don't speak to you for something like 3, 6, 9 months.
Yeah.
Because it's possible I've forgotten you existed until you pop into my head for some reason. Something reminds me of you. And again,
or you send a message and you pop up on my phone like, oh, I remember you now.
Exactly. Yeah. And it doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean that I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
It just means that there's a part of my brain that focuses on immediacy.
Yeah.
And immediacy is the right here, the right now. So I do love you. And if you've texted me recently, I will try to text you back.
I promise I'll do better. But I love that too, right? Because I think about one of the things of the long-standing friendships that we've got, and there's sort of the 3 of us really from high school, right? And we've always had this thing in our lives that we've drifted in our lives, and we've gone long periods of not contacting each other, right? Like I think it was a while ago, like we realised we hadn't chatted in like 8 months, and it wasn't that where there was any maliciousness. No one had done anything wrong. It was literally just we actually all forgot each other existed and we were busy with day-to-day lives.
I think it was also during COVID too, so
that was not helpful.
Pretty bad.
As well. And you were in Melbourne, so it was even harder. And but like, it's that piece of, I think what's worked for us over the period of time has just been that acceptance that for us that's normal, and it's not that, oh, that person's dead to me, or that person is this, or they've done something deeply offensive, or what have I done wrong? It's literally just, oh, they've forgotten I exist, and and I'll just send a meme and remind everyone, we're still here because I've remembered them at 2:00 in the morning. But again, it's that what's normal for you and finding those people that
are accepting,
get you and you're accepting for who you are.
Yeah. I think that's really beautiful, and I call them low maintenance friendships.
Yeah.
Because a high maintenance friendship I actually find claustrophobic.
Okay.
If somebody that I meet needs to talk to me every day, or they need constant reassurance, or I kind of tend to find that I will hold my boundaries a lot more firmly, because I find that to be quite, I get worried that I can't give them the level of attention that they would need from me.
A friendship. Yeah.
It's outside of my scope. It's outside of my comfort zone. And so I'll have the conversation, and I hope that they will understand. But often I'll get told that that's weird.
That you'll hold the boundary.
That, why don't you want to talk to me every day?
Okay.
Don't you like me?
Right.
Yeah. And so I find that with age, 2 things come for me in particular. The first one is that I've stopped caring what people think.
Mostly.
within certain
Yeah.
limitations. But it means that if I'm standing there looking at my wardrobe going, oh, I wonder if I should wear this or da da da, that has almost completely erased over time.
Yeah.
I wear what I want to wear because it makes me feel good,
Yeah.
not because I'm trying to make,
Other people feel good.
yeah, get compliments or whatever the case may be. If compliments happen, yay, but that's not the reason. And the other thing is that when you get older too, finding your tribe, and I've heard people say that it's actually harder to make friends when you're older. But I also find that if you can join a group, if you get an animal or a dog or something along those lines, the people who are your people will sort of naturally sort of come into it.
Yeah.
So it could be that you want to join a knitting club, or there could be, a dog park that you go to, even if you don't have a dog. Like, dogs give me the most amount of dopamine in the whole wide world, and I love them so much. If you want me to like you, show me a picture of your dog.
Yeah.
Tell me I can pat your dog, and in conclusion, dog.
Dog.
So the amount of people, the opportunities that I've met just from going to the dog park, with mine, and having those interactions in such a way, over time, if you can just naturally be who you are, which is so much easier to say than do.
Yes.
But if you can naturally be, you find that people come to you.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I think as well that, again, we talk about dialectical thinking, we talked about in other episodes as well, but two things can be true and two things can be true within identity. So like, in my school, like I'm pretty involved. I'm not one for titles and stuff, but I'm involved in the Parents and Citizens Association, I'm the president role in that, right? So apparently that comes with some sort of level of social expectation. I'm also the parent that will wear slippers to school, right? So, and not necessarily on purpose. I don't do it as a badge of honor or identity. I literally do it because they feel comfortable on my feet. I've had arguments and debates as to whether they're garden clogs and if garden clogs are acceptable to wear outside as opposed to slippers. But like it's comfortable for me, and I'm not doing it for an outward reaction. You can respond however you want. You can feel about that however you like. That's totally okay. But I'm wearing them because they're comfortable to me, and it doesn't mean I'm not like a functioning adult. Like a grown up, with real world responsibilities and expectations. Or, I'm a counsellor that happens to also be alexithymic, and means I have difficulty in naming and identifying and working through emotions.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I can't do that job. So, there's lots of different things about us, but often those contradictory areas, or those two things which we feel can't be true in the same person, are kind of sometimes the things that are most interesting about us as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or being able to just wear my Halloween costume to the office.
Yes.
Which I did once.
Of course.
Yeah.
Have you done the cat's eye contact lenses yet?
I did not.
Oh.
No, this was the 70s dress.
Okay. Well, no, she's talked about also wearing cat's eye contact lenses to the office before.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, please do that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that or the purple ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it. Just fun. As long as it feels good for you and like you're not hurting anybody else, it's totally okay.
Absolutely.
And as we explore different parts of our neurotype and our identity and things like stimming, and what stimming feels really good for you and safe for you, because a lot of like internalized stims will be people sweeping, because that's an acceptable stim to do. It doesn't feel quite as good as like fully dancing around, flapping our arms, but it's okay, but like what feels good to you?
Look, when fidget toys came out,
yeah,
and the market just exploded, I think, I don't want to say a lot of people told on themselves because most people didn't know.
Yeah.
But I think that in itself is such a massive indicator that there are so many people out there who are undiagnosed neurodivergent, that these are tools and things that can help you.
Yeah.
And by all means, like, don't let any association stop you.
Yeah.
If you find it helpful, if it makes you feel good,
do it.
Do it.
And like things like I now don't go anywhere without my earplugs, and I wear them unashamedly, and again, I'll introduce that in conversation because sometimes people go, well, that's a bit weird, but I'll be just like, it helps me focus more on the conversation, and it's the noises in here right now are really uncomfortable for me, so I wear earplugs. I'm still listening to you.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's okay.
It's the same thing. Like, no, I feel so bad when people do this, and I did it to you before too. So, but I knew that you understood, is that we were talking, and you started talking about something else. I picked up my phone because something we had mentioned sparked something in my
had to
brain.
look it up right then
and I had to look it up. Because if I didn't, one, I'd forget about it, and two, I really wanted to show you.
Yeah. But it's also as well, like, as you did that, like, I think 2 minutes beforehand, you were sitting closer to my phone than I was. And I'm like, oh, can you pass me your phone? I need to look something up. And you just passed me my phone. There was no judgment there, even though you were mid-story and mid-talking. And it was like, because I had to look this up before I forget it exists.
And I knew that that's what you were doing. And I didn't consider it rude or weird or whatever the case was, because, again, we know that about each other.
Yeah. We assume good intent.
100%. And it's not because either of us isn't paying attention. It's just because there's the parts of our brain, and it's almost like sometimes I can look at your brain and see all the different parts lighting up. And it's
the wheel turning. The hamster is dead.
Or the hamster's just going a million miles an hour.
Exactly, that too.
Yeah, it's off the wheel and it's spitting out into space.
It's doing its own thing.
But and that comes as part of knowing each other for such a long time as well, is that we accept those things about ourselves that still potentially get labelled externally
as weird.
As weird. And understanding that, I love the parts about you that, that are so-called weird, because they are wonderful.
Yeah. And so before we go away and watch Star Trek, and I put all my texters in rainbow order and play with numbers in my head to make every number nice and round and even, shall we jump into some Spice Jar tools?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you want to do the caveat?
So the Spice Jar tool is not designed to replace therapy. It is not a therapeutic tool. It is not advice.
It is education and entertainment only.
And these are things that have worked for us, and if they work for you, that's
Happy
fantastic.
days.
But they are not mandatory.
And just have fun with them. Give them a go.
Yeah. So for my one, it's that I've spent so much of my life not feeling seen, not feeling heard, and not feeling understood or accepted. And so a lot of that really came from accepting myself, accepting the parts of myself that are weird. Very similar to, there's a line from The Craft where the bus driver's like, "You girls watch out for those weirdos." And she turns around and says, "We are the weirdos, mister." I have a badge for that too. And so I find that, where it's come to romantic relationships, where if I do that thing where I let my weird out too quickly, I might scare people off because it's too much. And so
you ease them in.
Little
bit by little bit.
And part of that comes from self-acceptance first. You can't really let your weird out without accepting that there are parts of you. So I want to do the if you're active on social media, you might have seen it a few times with the woman where she says, "Say the weird thing." So if you can sit by yourself in front of a mirror and just for 5 minutes and just talk to yourself, and it could be really uncomfortable. You don't have to look at yourself in the mirror.
Could you write it down as well?
Like, you could absolutely write it down.
Written person.
Yeah. So you write it down and you just
express the weird thing.
Express the weird thing, no matter how weird it is. And because at the end of the day, you are the safest person to express that to. And it could be a thought that you might have had in the back of your head for a really long time that you don't feel safe to say out loud. Just write it down. Say it into the mirror. If you're in a relationship where you feel safe to talk to your partner, you might have a weird fact that sort of sits up the back of your brain.
Could you do it with like a friend as well, or like a workmate if you feel safe?
A family member, whatever. Cool. But just get permission from them and say, "Hey, I've got this weird thing. I'd love to talk to you about it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the case may be." And so you get their consent and say, "How long have you got?" And also give them permission to say, "I've had enough," or, whatever signal or, safe word or something like that you want to come up with, banana hammock. And so just ask them to sit there and let you talk and ask them to not judge you. And at the end of the day, at the end of it, just to say, "Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing." And so at the end of that, they say, "Thank you for sharing." And just sit there and reinforce that in your brain that you've been allowed to share something and the other person has thanked you for it.
Okay.
And then you can actually ask them if they have something weird that they would like to share with you.
Okay.
And then at the end of it, thank you for sharing.
So if I gave you like 30 seconds to hit me with a weird?
Okay. So we don't have a timer, but I was reading a study that was done in Australia where they got firefighters to, over a period of 12 months, to donate their blood and their plasma, and a control group who didn't donate any. So over that period, they found that the firefighters that donated plasma actually found a reduction of 30% of the PFAs. That's the forever chemicals inside their system. And firefighters that donated blood only had a 10% reduction, and the control group, which didn't donate anything, there was no change. And so over that period of time, they discovered that PFAs actually bond to the proteins in the body, and by donating blood, they were able to generate new blood cells and have less in their system overall.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. I actually told a carpenter that once because he said his son was going into the firefighting area. And he gave me the same response, which was, I don't know how to take that. And he thanked me for it.
Love it. Love it. It's so good.
That's my weird.
There you go. Easy. Well, my spice jar tool this week is linking your weirdness back to our neurotype. So what I've found really helpful for me in the process of unmasking and that sort of thing, and becoming more accepting of who I am and becoming more bold with my weird. And I've found as well, the more weird I get, the more accepting I get of other people's weird too, which is really, really lovely. And it's been amazing in my relationship and my family at home as well. And when I work with clients and getting them to do this exercise as well, seeing what it draws out. And so not linking this back to we're afraid of being isolated and rejected and being seen as that separate and excluded, because exclusion equals death. It's this piece and this process of helping you find your village and helping you find people like you. So the first part is it's linking your features, your unique quirks and features back to your neurotype and the common, whether you call them traits, symptoms, experiences that we tend to have, having similar type brains. Linking it back to your specific flavour of spicy, right? And linking those features back. And then when you've got that idea of linking those back to your neurotype, also doing then a bit of research on your neurotype to find other famous people of note, might be amazing people, ambassadors within our community that do phenomenal work. It might be some influencers, it might be content creators, it might be, phenomenal therapists or people that have written books or things like that. But actually doing that research to reassure yourself there are actually people like you out there.
Yeah.
And to also feel a bit of pride, right, in those parts of your weird. And so and I was looking into this with different celebrities, and Nikola Tesla and Albert Einstein are two people that were both suspected to be autistic, and they were labeled as the mad scientists, but just absolutely eccentric in a lot of ways and a lot of really strong preferences and different ways of thinking, but that also allowed for huge amounts, of innovation. Dan Aykroyd, he describes his autism as fueling his unique comedy style. So he was able to think about what's funny differently because he saw funny differently. And that's probably another one of my weirds too, is there's a lot of stuff that I just do not find funny, and I don't know why it's funny, and I can't understand the joke. But, again, that's not an unusual thing even for a comic, and things like Sia and Billie Eilish as well, who some of their most overt weirdness is actually a real part of their identity, and who they are and what actually makes them special. And so it's really nice when you do that activity to go, okay, I'm not actually alone in my weirdness. There are other weird people like me out there that are also exceptional. They're wonderful too. And it's that weirdness that is actually what makes them wonderful.
Yeah, I love that. And that is, it's so true, because we can often feel as individuals isolated.
Yeah.
There is a loneliness epidemic out there, and it can often feel like the stuff that we've gone through is ours and ours alone. But you're not alone.
No.
There is, so many other beautiful people out there who have had similar struggles, and they may not be identical struggles, but it doesn't mean that you're alone in this, and that there's wonderful camaraderie out there.
Yeah. And it's just a matter of finding your village and finding the right village for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it might only be 2 other people in your village, but it'll be a raging wild time.
You're going to have the best time together.
Yay.
Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing.
That's all right. Love my tool. So, that's out there on the site. Feel free to download it. And if you want, give it a go. Share your comments and thoughts.
Absolutely.
As we'll be letting our weird out.
Thanks for joining us for another episode.
Yes.
We hope that you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed talking about it. We hope that you celebrate your weird and wacky and wonderful and become more and more of your authentic self.
Yep. So till next time, stay spicy.
Stay spicy.
You're listening to the NeuroSpice Life podcast
with Hanna and Freya, besties, brains, and more.
If you've enjoyed listening, follow us on YouTube or your favourite podcast app and share it with someone else who knows the sting of a sticky label.
We'll see you next time. Until then, stay spicy, stay wonderful.